right, so let's go inside the star here. And both of you sent a wide receiver name that is starting to appear in some trade rumors.
Yep, and this is one that this is kind of interesting because I think there's a question out there. So over at ESPN, they did a trade deadline overview of every team. And, it's the typical formula of they take each team, Graziano writes what he's hearing, then you get Aaron Schatz, one of their the Football Outsiders analytics guy, who will deliver like an analytics opinion of what they should go for. And then there's a potential player that could be on the move from that team that the local beat writer talks about. So Todd Archer mentions that Jalen Tolbert should be watched as a trade candidate, which is a name we've talked about and why it would make sense for them to deal him. There's a little bit, I don't like revealing trade secrets, but there's a tell each week. I don't want to say what it is, but there's a tell each week as to who might be active or inactive based on practice. And
is this your own, or is this like a Cowboy specific trade secret?
No, it's one that you've been able to spot, and it's usually pretty accurate. Jalen Tolbert had that tell yesterday at practice. And so that's saying what it is. I don't know that Jalen Tolbert would be active this week against the Cardinals. And so, again, it does make me think there's at least some sort of falling out of favor or preservation there. I wouldn't be surprised if that feels like a move that very much could happen as Dallas trading away Jalen Tolbert sometime in the next week and a half.
Look,
For what?
I mean, if you get anything in return, knowing he's not coming back.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you get anything in return and he's really not playing that often, I take whatever, even if it's a 7th, just anything that's something in return that I might be able to use.
I wouldn't have an issue with that. I mean, there's a numbers game. They've got other guys. If you were to take him and Flanoy and Turpin and all put them on the market, who gets the most in return, and who's most likely to be here and who's most likely not. Anybody that is not in your plans for next year should absolutely be talked about. And I think that goes for any team in any sport as you near the deadline.
I mean, what if I've got Cheeto Awuzie, who's not playing too bad for Baltimore right now, but obviously an older player. Baltimore's not been great this season. Let's say Baltimore wants to add a receiver. If I just called them up and just said, hey, we'll throw you Tolbert for Cheeto. Like, I mean, if I can get that in return, it's like, I'll take a shot on that for sure.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think that's the kind of deal that when Jerry, although with the way Jerry was talking about linebacker, maybe it's a linebacker. Maybe they're just...
You mean talking about oil?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right,
exactly. Maybe they're talking on the phone about, hey, who's got a linebacker that they're on an expiring deal? They know their linebacker's not coming back and they could use a receiver. Let's make a deal here. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the kind of deal they look for.
So there's your buy and sell that you were talking about, doing both.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Like, to me, buy and selling at the same time. You could you could sell and still compete. The Guardians did this in baseball this year. They sold
guards.
Did they trade off 3 or 4 players at the deadline and they still made the playoffs?
Tampa did it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Did Patrick Walker have a list of safeties?
Yes, he did. So over at DallasCowboys.com, which this is a rare treat. Because you go to DallasCowboys.com, usually they can't identify players. These are all free agents, so you're allowed to talk about all these. He took a look at just the safety position and various guys that are out there and available in the free agent market right now. Some of the names that are out there that you may know, John Johnson, who had previously been with the Rams. You've got Jordan Whitehead, Marcus May, who previously was with the Jets. But the name he really focused on, and the name that I think makes some sense, Justin Simmons, who previously was with Denver, and then he spent last year with Atlanta, and he's just been a free agent ever since getting cut in the offseason. He was a player
a few years ago.
He was. I didn't realize he's 32. He's an older player now, but he writes that both Simmons and May have skins on the wall, plenty of them, and it bears mentioning that May also spent time with Aaron Whitecott, the Cowboys defensive line coach for the Jets in 2021, and you can never overlook a former Gator landing on Schottenheimer's radar. Neither he nor Simmons are world beaters at this point in their career, but what Dallas needs is anything of value at the position that stabilizes it going forward, barring a blockbuster trade. And I think that's the things that Jerry kind of was hesitant to mention anything with us when we were talking about it the other day, but they really do need to start finding potential options that will just make it a stable position, whether it's safety or corner or whatever else. You got to just go find anybody off the street who can maybe stop the bleeding. That's what you really need right now.
Brian Schottenheimer has gone viral for saying this at his press conference yesterday. He will join us tomorrow at 8:20 as always. Here's the clip.
No, I think, none of us have done good enough. Coaches, players, head coach, none of us have done good enough. That's real. I mean, our scorecard is what it is, and that's not just, defensively, that's offensively. We're a football team that's 3-4-1. You can take the stats on offense and shove them up your ass as far as I'm concerned. I mean, is what it is. We want to win, and people talk about, hey, MVP and this and that. Dak Prescott doesn't want to win MVP. He wants to win a Super Bowl, and that's what we want to win. And we're not there yet. We've not played that consistently well enough to certainly be in that discussion, but it doesn't mean the journey stops. It certainly doesn't stop. It just, you get more focused, you get more intentional, and we got to do it together.
I think Dak definitely wants to win MVP. That's the only thing I'll stop and say.
Yeah. I think every player wants to win the MVP.
Don't speak for me on that front. I do want to win MVP, but I also want to win a Super Bowl.
In addition to.
Yeah, it reads a lot harsher than it sounds. He's clearly just being a little flippant.
Schottenheimer said he has spent a significant amount of more time in defensive meetings compared to the start of the season. We heard about this a few weeks ago, and he said, look, it's the help. It's not getting in the way. I give Eberflus a ton of credit. Having been a coordinator, having had head coaches come sit in my meetings and stuff, you don't like it. I took it personal. Why are you in my meeting? Flus has not been like that at all. The beat then took Jerry's comments off our show, really mentioning linebacker a lot, and asked Schottenheimer about it.
Well, like I said the other day, I think Monday somebody asked me about it. I mean, the linebackers, obviously, they get everything started. And, they're the ones making the call, number one, with the green dot, with K9. And then they got to set the front, based on how we want to go, whether it's close right, close left. And the biggest thing for us is the focus of making sure that we can kind of, like I said, see less. Right now we're seeing too much, and so therefore our fits aren't exactly right. Is it them every time? No. But it's more of an emphasis of, these guys have some indicators and things that we want to be on top of, and so it's just a big, push from myself and Flus and guys like that to make sure that, these guys are doing the things they need to do to see less. And because a lot of times your defense will go how your linebackers play because of the proximity to where they are to the ball.
Tyler Patman, who was a corner here for Oklahoma State, played at Oklahoma State, was a corner here for the Cowboys in 2014 and 15. He was on Cowboys Crosstalk last night, and he had said that obviously he had spent some time with Eberflus, and he said that watching the defense and knowing generally how the defense operates, that was the thing he said was the biggest problem right now that he saw. He said the linebackers are hanging everybody out to dry. He said the linebackers are supposed to be doing certain things in coverage that they're not. The linebackers are supposed to be doing certain things in the run game that it's just weakening everything else behind you. And so in fact, he called, trying to remember I think he said Eberflus, I think he called him he's a cup defense. And so he said the design, he's like, Flus will tell you the design of his defense is bend but don't break. That is what they want to do. He said defense is always going to give up something. On every single design, you're agreeing to give something to them. And he said the whole idea is just put it in front of you and make plays. And he's like, right now they're not keeping anything in front of them. It's literally not doing what it's supposed to. And he said
designed not to allow what it's
and he said the linebackers are it's because he says that second level is so bad that it's not allowing you to function the way it needs to.
I assume a lot of times head coaches make the rounds to the other meeting rooms, right? I assume Sean McVay finds his way to a lot of defensive meetings. That's a good thing. I don't think it's.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it doesn't happen all the time anyway.
Where do we stand right now today? The Zach Wilchuk topic of the week, dividing blame between the players and coordinator. Where do you stand on it today? Divvy up the pie.
Defensively, it's. I mean, the system. Do the players? I need to know. Do the players fit the system that they want to run?
This was Broadus's big criticism that went viral the other day, saying Jerry and Steven are at fault for picking the wrong coordinator for the players' talents.
Yeah, look, we went through this. We went through this, and if you have a 3-4 team, not 3 and 4, but a 3-4 defensive team, don't go out there and hire a 4-3 defensive coordinator and expect to immediately be fine. It takes a couple of years. When Parcells got here, I think in 2000, the first year he was here, 03. I'm pretty sure they still ran 4-3.
They did.
And then he switched to 3-4, but what did it do? They went like 7-9, right? They had like a couple of kind of years. because they were switching up personnel. And it makes sense.
Yeah, taking Jerry and Steven out of it, like if you're just asking me coach and players, who's at fault, 60-40 players, I'd say.
I was going to say 65-35 players. So about the same thing.
At some point, and as more of it goes along, more it might start falling on the coordinator too, though, because it's like, well, you've got to adjust. Like, even if they're at fault, you got to do something to, like your job is to figure it out. Like, you've got to figure it out as best you can to stop the bleeding as best you can.
Mark Schlereth, who I have now turned on. We're not playing this clip.
Oh, man.
No, this is from G-Bag. And Schlereth was asked, why would I transition to peeing in an airport bathroom right now?
Because it's football.
Mark Schlereth, no, it's literally not. Mark Schlereth on if the defense is just this bad or if players are giving up on the DC from G-Bag.
I just don't think they're very good. I mean, listen, you put this on tape for you. Like, the guys that play in the league don't quit. Simply because you're putting that on tape and all 31 other teams see this tape. And that's the difference between you leaving Dallas and having an opportunity to go somewhere else and get paid or not get paid. So, that's the issue that you get into as a player. Man, I'm putting this out there. This is my tape. And we may not be very good, overall, but we're getting manhandled on the edge of this defense. We're getting manhandled everywhere. And like I said, Broncos, there's this false narrative out there that this Broncos offensive line is a dominant offensive line. They're not. They haven't been. They haven't been at all. And they've actually been handled, especially in the running game. And, and they put it together where they're getting, I don't know how many explosives they have, but every time you looked up, there was another 20-yard, 15-yard run. I mean, it was one after the other after the other.
So there's Stink every week with G-Bag.